feminism. It's well said that until the lion knows how to write, every story will glorify the hunter. And we see or we say in 1960s is the rise or the beginning of feminism. But actually 1960s is the revival of feminism, because in 1960s we know that those developed countries like USA, UK, Canada, New Zealand, the women over there, they were not given the basic rights: right to vote, right to education, right to respect. So we can see what could have been the condition of those women, those who used to live in those third world or underdeveloped countries. And we know that in USA and UK, the women were not supposed to cast their vote. They were not supposed to work. They were not supposed to do that job which is outside the four walls of her house. And we see that in 1960s, if we mark feminism as that the foundation of feminism was being laid in 1960s, but I see that it is not the foundation, it is the revival of feminism. Because before 1960s there have been several books. If we see that Mary Wollstonecraft, who is known as the grandmother of feminism, she has written The Vindication of Woman in back 1792. There is one another, Virginia Woolf, in 1921, A Room of One's Own. There is another, that is Simone de Beauvoir, and she has written The Second Sex in back 1949. Now again 1960s, which marks the foundation of feminism. Why? Because in 1960s, when those white ladies, they were not given, they were devoid of their basic rights, and the blacks over there, they were supposed to cast their vote under Abraham Lincoln's authority. But at the same time, when white men, they used to come back and they used to speak to their ladies, and the white aristocratic ladies, in a taunting sense, they used to talk, yes, the servants are supposed to elect their government, and we, the aristocratic ladies, are devoid of that purpose. In 1960s, they were talking of those basic rights: right to education, right to self-respect, and it was given to them. These are the writers. Not only these writers, there have been the male writers before this. We can see John Stuart Mill. He has written, or Eugene Angels, he has written too in their favor. In 1960s, so in the first wave of feminism, they were talking about those basic rights. When those basic rights were being settled, they were being served to them, and then they start to talk against patriarchy, the second wave of feminism. In the patriarchy, that why we are kept in a small house and we are not supposed to go out. They start to say, and they start to raise questions against that patriarchal rule. That who are men? Who are they to control us? Then they start to talk about that we women, we will work in the same office and we deserve the same salary, and we will get the same salary. And they start to talk about it. They started to see their role in politics and economics. That was the second wave of the feminism, in which 1970s they started to talk about patriarchy, they started to talk about economics, they started to talk about politics, and they started to look higher than the basic rights now. They're looking for the job in which equal salary is being provided for both male and woman. And then if we see another part, that is the gyno and the androtexts. Androtexts, those writings which serve, or the books authored by the male writers; gynotexts, or books authored by the female writers. Even in 1970s, we see those Victorian writers. female writers, Bronte sisters, when they used to publish their writings, they used to publish their writings under female name, under some male name, sorry, under some male name. Why? Because it was the notion in the society that a female, she is not appropriate to write. She doesn't have those high etiquettes to write. Even in the history, in the ancient history or the Greco-Roman history, when Plato, Aristotle, they all abused, even though Rousseau, he used to talk against women. One of the quote is that if ask a woman advice and do the very reverse, you are sure to be wise.